All right, looks like we are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the
Well,
very first episode of the Hard Reset podcast. Guys, I'm so excited to finally announce this. It's been something that I've been planning on doing for a while, and I'd love to introduce you to myself, Hamza, and my co host, Crystal.
hello.
Hi, Crystal. Together, guys, we are going to be sharing this podcast and talk to you about what the hard reset is all about, and most specifically, who this podcast is for. So, the hard reset and what this is all about is first and foremost, we all know that oh God, what happened? There's people watching. Okay, sorry. So, just for everyone that's watching, this is just a practice run that we decided to do live. So, enjoy. Just to go over very quickly what the hard reset is. You guys understand when your computer, for example, it gets too many viruses, it gets too slow, and essentially it just stops working. So we have to completely just hit the power button, hold it down until it just completely shuts down and essentially restarts again, right? So that same concept, but for humans. The reason for that is in today's modern world, we pick up so many habits, so many cues, there's so much information and so many things on the go that we develop a dependency on escaping from our life. A dependency on whether it's drinking, whether it's overeating, whether it is anything you can think of, anything that allows you to escape from our own lives, right? So, this podcast is for people of all ages. It's for every single person that has had enough of their drinking lifestyle, their drinking habit, and most importantly, if they are wanting to start living their life in a different way. So, if you've been thinking about quitting drinking or even taking a break but are finding it extremely difficult to do so, then this podcast is for you guys. You will learn how to use neuroscience and mindfulness together. First, we're going to break the drinking habit and then focus on restructuring your lifestyle with building some keystone habits that you will need to then live a happy, fulfilled, and a thriving alcohol free life, right? So, together, both Crystal and I, we're going to be tackling some modern day challenges that surround quitting drinking. We'll offer some mindful techniques, some breathing techniques, some tools, and most importantly, a plan for us to successfully eliminate alcohol and all of its detrimental impact from your life once and for all. Which leads me to today's topic, which is how to leave the drinking culture behind in today's modern world, right? And the inspiration for this this episode is that what I noticed is while I was under the influence, and what many of you guys would have noticed as well, is that it seems to be our fault that you are the reason why you are drinking so much. You are the reason why your life is this way. And all the blame falls onto the person that's basically stuck in this crazy, crazy problem. And what we're here to tell you guys is that it is not your fault. It is certainly not your fault that you ended up creating habits while living an extremely stressful life in today's world, and how it's just all your fault. Because in today's episode, we're going to be tackling and uncovering the drinking culture and what it really is, such as the cultural influence, how we all grow up with elders that are drinking. We grow up going to birthday parties, going to social events where all the elders have a drink in their hand and we all want some, but we all get told that no, no, that's not, this is not for you. You can have it when you've all grown up. And that makes us look forward to the day we turn either 18 or 19 or 21, depending on what country you're from. And I mean, that's where it starts. And immediately we go into college, we go into university, everybody's drinking there. It's that culture. And we learn things like liquid courage. We learn the concept of dorm parties and keggers. And we really, everything we're doing is completely going hand in hand with alcohol. So naturally, We start building our neuroassociations, we start building our environment, we start building our habits that are exclusively designed to include alcohol, whether it's for relaxation, for socializing, for I mean, there's so many different stressors. There's so many different occasions, scenarios that require us to drink, such as our stressful lives. Crystal?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. It just comes hand in hand with the drinking too, because once we're stressed, what do? It's just easy to go home and crack open that beer or that bottle of wine. And the things that are added into our lives when we have kids. I'm a mom of three, and you've got to keep up with the games, the schoolwork, the homework, the everything that comes along with being a parent. I'm also a business owner, so I know, having to run a business and keeping your home in line, and the bills and the everything. Those are things that are part of life, and learning how to cope with those types of stresses are essentially going to keep you on target and keep you from, like, how do you cope with that, and figuring that out. And I think that that's what we've come up with, just such a great, my personal experience mixed with yours, to come up with how people can cope with it.
Absolutely, and I think you've hit it right on the head. It is all about the coping mechanisms, right? So first, while we're in university, we're nervous to even meet a girl. We're nervous about our exams. We're nervous about socializing because we're so young and we don't really know anything. So it's all about liquid courage. Then, as you mentioned, that you get into the later parts of life. Your you get into your home ownership, your kids,
Mm-hmm.
their responsibilities, right? And being a
Yep.
mom, I'm sure that you can see how hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of moms around the world right now are almost exclusively dependent on mommy juice, right? Or or I mean, whatever other words, mommy drink or wine o'clock, or I mean, there's so many different terms for
It's so
things.
normal too, like it's normal to have at 5 o'clock, open up your bottle of wine.
Absolutely. And it's become normalized so much that it becomes part of everything we do, right? Everything that we do, which is fun, everything we do for relieving stress. Again, we come back to the same thing. The time of day that we are usually drinking, basically our whole lifestyle, right? Like all the things that we do for going out, all the things that we do for relaxation, all the things that we do to pass the time. If we're not careful, we easily associate drinking with each and every one of these important aspects of life. So then the next thing you know, you need a drink to calm down. You need a drink to relax. You need a drink before you even go out drinking. You need and it's just constantly living under stress. And obviously, Crystal, you're no stranger to that. Let's talk a little bit about what constantly living under stress does.
um and this is a great topic too, of what being stressed out does, because one thing that set me free 4 years ago when I was in rehab, it was a very brain based, mindful based rehab center that I went to. And it really helped to know that when you are anxious, or you're stressed out, you're feeling really emotional, or living as an addict, which a lot of people are, you're living in the back part of your brain and your sympathetic nervous system. And that was like the first time I had really heard of it. I've heard of fight or flight before, when we are chasing, back in the day, when a mountain lion's attacking you, that kind of thing, and you have your adrenaline going, and it serves you really well to have that. And it's okay because it serves a purpose in our body. However, when we're living in constant stress, you are not able to move to your parasympathetic nervous system as easily as you would when you're in a more calming state. And so when I learned that, 2 minutes of deep belly breathing alone, just 2 minutes of that, they've done the studies on it, brings you into your frontal part of your brain. And in the frontal part of your brain, you have, slower heart rate. You can logically think, not emotionally think. It lowers your cortisol levels, which is our stress hormone, or people call it the fat hormone. And when that happens, you're in a completely better state to make better decisions. And so, I use deep belly breathing to help with the stress, because stress is a trigger for me. Being 4 years sober, like anytime I get stressed out, I can feel it happening if I don't get it under control. That is definitely what's happening. So setting my timer throughout the day for the 2 minutes of the belly breathing, bringing myself back into my parasympathetic nervous system, and my frontal lobes helps me to overcome all of those things coming at me. And also, there's so much more with the brain, and I love how you talk constantly about the brain, Hamza. It's just because it's truly, you'll hear things like, oh, your mom's an alcoholic, or your dad's an alcoholic, or society, in front of you. And it is not your fault. It is not your fault. However, the freedom comes when you realize you can be in control of this, that this is not just out of control, and you can help, and you offer those to us. So
Absolutely. And I feel like you just pointed out such an important thing, is that it is like human beings are basically comprised of habits. We're habitual creatures, right?
mm-hmm.
And the way our brain is wired, the whole purpose of it is to make things easier, right? So all the actions that we do on repeat, the things that we like doing, the brain naturally wants to reserve those systems so that we can use them over and over again. And that's how habits are formed. The challenge with the modern day life is that any one given person, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at, especially if you're born here in North America, and you've seen your people around you as you're growing up, everybody has a drink in their hand. That confirms that this is a good thing, not a bad thing. Nobody tells you about how much they're drinking. Nobody tells you, especially when you're younger, you don't really get to hear about the horror stories until you get much, much older. But then you have to go through university, and if you're lucky, right? And in that phase of your life, again, we're young, we're stupid, we don't really know exactly what we're doing, but then we unknowingly start developing these systems there, that okay, I'll just have a drink to relax. I just like having a drink on Thursdays. I like, all my weekends are spent going out and doing things. And then from there we get into family life, and in family life things get 10 times more stressful, and what we learned in the previous phase of our life we take with us into the next phase.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So once we start having kids, and once we have a job, and once we have bills and mortgages and things that we must take care of, right? So when all of these external factors become so important and so, focus of all of your attention and energy, what's happening is that we are forgetting to take care of ourselves. Right. So in all the chaos, in all the, oh, my daughter needs this, or I need this done before bedtime, and then finally all you can do is look forward towards your glass of wine at the end of the night. Who can blame you, based on the kind of world we live in, and especially with COVID and with the way things have gone, with lockdowns, with all of this extreme pressure, in addition to already stressful, highly stressful lives, right? Like, we are required to operate in such a field, you can say, if this whole thing is a game, right? Then the playing field it's heavily rigged. You need something. Like, every modern person, modern adult will feel like they need something to take the edge off. And that right there is the modern drinking culture put in a nutshell for you.
Yep.
Because, I mean, as a mom, how many times a day do you get an opportunity to say, I've had enough. I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired. Oh my God, I can't look forward to this evening, especially during your drinking days.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I ended up not waiting until the evening, it'd be like sneaky sneak, because in the middle of the day you're like, I am done. I'm done with this right now, you know?
That is
Not every
that
day.
is
Not every day, but yeah, like,
so, to bring back to the original topic at hand, Crystal, is that it is not our fault that we end up with these problems. All the advertising that we get exposed to, the culture, the going out, every time you want to see someone, whether it's for even 5 minutes, you have to basically go and meet them at either a bar or a restaurant or something. Even on Sundays, brunches, right?
mhm.
Everything in between that we do, we're all conditioned, where we are programmed to go out and then have a drink because it is synonymous with having a good time or celebration of any kind. So how is it then that us regular people who have to go through these entire systems, how is it that it's our fault? Right? Nobody tells you that, hey, this is a poison that you're putting in your body and you will become very dependent on this if you continue down this path.
Yeah.
Nobody gives you this heads up. They tell you, oh, drink responsibly, but like, what does that even mean? Like, what does that mean? How many people? I don't know that many people who can go and just have one drink, right? And it, I guess, is something to be said about also how the kind of influence you surround yourself with,
Mhm.
right? So what ends up happening is that the average person who is constantly stressed out, constantly thinking about all the things that they have to do, constantly worried about making ends meet, or constantly worried about all the things they have to do, this is keeping them in their with their sympathetic nervous system completely activated. The sympathetic nervous system is our fight or flight, like you said earlier, right? So with that fight or flight being activated, what's happening is that your body is running in overdrive.
Yeah.
And that overdrive is essentially the whole concept behind the fight or flight nervous system, is so that whenever there's a threat to our life, perceived threat to our life, we can draw power from other systems in the body and use that power on one singular focus. So for example, if I'm in the jungle and suddenly I've been attacked by a lion, and that lion's paw just ripped my gut right open and my intestines are hanging out, let's just say. I know it's very graphic. However, if I'm running like this, then the sympathetic nervous system is designed to just take all the blood flow away from my already beaten up
Injury.
digestive system, right? And I won't even feel it. I won't even know that, hey, there's a huge gash and like my intestines are hanging out of my belly. I won't even know because all the blood is going to my legs. Because right now I gotta run. Right, my body does not have a need for my digestive system in the moment, because if I don't run, then I don't need to eat because I will become food.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to think of it like that. Now in today's world, we don't have those type of threats to our life anymore, right? So when we think about, like, when we place so much importance to what people are saying on social media, and then suddenly you see a comment that you don't like, and now that's got you thinking that, oh my god, oh, this sucks, I can't believe this is happening to me on today of all days, and you get into that, your sympathetic nervous system is like, all right, I get to do my thing. and
And then
and
you soothe it. And then what do you do to soothe it? Like, because alcohol works, so you soothe it, alcohol soothes it, and then you
yeah.
get back in this pattern. But then again, the alcohol will bring you back into, the next day, causing the anxiety and all of that.
It's not even, we haven't even got to the alcohol part yet. We're just talking about the damage that it's doing,
Yeah.
right? All the cortisol that's being released in your body in that time when you're constantly stressed out and when you're just on the go and so busy that I can't even think. All of these are signs that you are living in a in a completely sympathetic nervous system world,
Yep.
right? Your body is just constantly releasing those hormones because it has an off switch, and that off switch is the parasympathetic nervous system. And the biggest problem is that in today's modern life, we all wake up and we essentially, by looking at our phones, by seeing all the things that we are responsible for today,
Yeah.
we immediately activate that
Just
sympathetic
living
nervous system.
that nervous system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what is that doing then? So
Yeah.
if you're waking up, and if you're already waking up tired from the night before because you had too much stress to deal with, and now you had a few drinks, and now you're waking up the next morning, and you're instantly already, you have some regret in your brain that, oh, I shouldn't have done that, but whatever, let's get on with the day. You open your eyes, and the next thing is you're looking at your phone, and then you see, okay, I've got an 8 a.m. meeting, and I've got this, and I've got that, and instantly you didn't even catch a break, and your brain is already like running and hustling, and that whole system just got activated. And now this poor soul, whoever this is, because this poor soul was me for many years, is going to remain in this state throughout the course of your day. What can come of this day when you are constantly working on, like, you know how you rev your engine on a stick shift on a manual car? It goes
Yeah.
from 1 all the way till 5, and if you don't change the gear, it will stay in that high rev state.
Yep.
That's what we're doing to our body, right?
Yep.
So now that we've established, Crystal, that it's not really
What
our
are our
fault.
solutions?
Exactly, right? Now
Yeah.
that we've established what the problems are, what are the solutions? So I mean, if we what are some of the solutions that are available to the standard person who wishes to make a change in their life?
Yeah.
You've got AA,
Mm-hmm.
that's number one. You go to your doctor, right? You go to your doctor to get to say, hey doc, I'm drinking too much, I can't really stop. Doctor goes, no problem. Here's a bunch of antidepressants. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Right? Like how many things were you prescribed when you were first
Oh
trying to get
my
sober?
gosh. I mean, they put me on instantly. I was on, I would say, 10 different prescriptions. So I weaned myself my first year of sobriety from 10 different. I mean, I'm sure some of them helped a little bit, but honestly, I don't feel it's necessary personally. My own. They put me on all kinds of stuff, threw it at me for sleep, for when instead of teaching what are the things. I mean, there's so many awesome things that are part of your course and what you teach that are exactly what you need. It's that essentially are part of you and are free to you because they're your own body, what your own brain can do, what your own breath can do, not to downplay medicine either, because I do believe, I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but
Well, I mean, look, for there's different levels of dependency for sure. And if you are someone that is drinking to a degree that if you do not consume alcohol even for a day, then your body can risk shutting itself down. And basically, when you're at risk of seizures, that's a physical dependency. What a lot of people don't realize is that it takes like an unimaginable amount of drinking consistently to get that physically dependent. I'm talking two to three, like 2 liters of hard liquor a day that needs to be metabolized by your liver in order for you to be that dependent.
yeah.
However, if you are worried about this, please, about seizures or any physical damage, please consult a medical professional, consult a doctor. However, for the standard person that wishes to stop drinking, right? The first thing they do is they go online and see what's out there. The number one thing that becomes available is Alcohol Anonymous. Okay. AA is great, but you basically have to be a certain kind of person to really benefit from it, because there's so many things in there that, especially if you're not religious, it's just not. I went to AA meetings and it just didn't work.
Yeah. It
You've
didn't
got,
either.
sorry?
It didn't work for me either.
All right, so you've got AA, then you've got your standard, the most popular approach these days, which is antidepressant medications or anti-alcohol medications like naltrexone, methadone. There's so many antabuse. I mean, all of these things are cool, but these are really just a band-aid on an existing problem that is not just going to go away by taking medication or GABA blockers or whatever, all this craziness that's out there, because the main source of change is here. It
Mhm.
comes from within. And like most people, I tried all of these situations, as I like to call them, the AA situation, the medication situation, even the therapy situation. And therapy was cool, but it's just $300 a session. God knows how many sessions I would need. Like I went for one session and she was like, "Oh, this is good for the first day." And I'm like, wait a minute. There's how many more days of this do I need? She's like, "Oh, this is a long process. It could take anywhere from 6 months to a year." I'm like, okay,
Here's
no. That is
$10,000.
that's exactly it. So the solution, the ultimate solution for leaving this whole thing behind, and I'm going to say this in a vague term, but it is putting yourself first. And what I mean by that is the person who has gone so far that they are now looking for help in order to change their life, break their dependency, or just do things differently, this person has gone too far for them to just say, okay, I'm just not going to drink anymore. Because based on all the neuroscience, the way habits are formed, how things in our external world, such as our environment, such as our home or our office or places we spend the most time, even in our car, the company we keep, the places we go, the bars that we visit regularly, all of these things are components of our external environment. So without considering the impact that our external environment has, without understanding how things work in our brain, and especially combining that with mindfulness, without these things, I feel like there will always be this gap, this little hole that will go unnoticed or will go unserviced rather.
Yep.
And that hole is literally you putting yourself first. The person who's been drinking heavily and has been going down this path, especially when they know that this is not good for them, is these are not actions of a person that truly loves themselves. These are not actions of a person that truly cares for themselves and puts themselves at the very top of their priority list when it comes to love and self-care. Right? So the solution, guys, is for us to first shift the focus inward. Everything that we need in order to create a new set of habits, to create a new lifestyle, to start thinking and feeling differently, to start looking at alcohol in a different way. All of this is available within our minds. Building habits such as meditation, such as mindful cooking, mindful eating, such as reading, such as going out in nature, such as prioritizing your sleep and getting a full 8 hours of sleep every day, scheduling that full 8 hours of sleep and scheduling all of your work around these things. These are the small yet very powerful mindful tools that you can use to start first breaking the drinking habit and then uncovering exactly how deeply ingrained it is into your lifestyle and what habits are required, what changes, what small changes can you make today to start reversing the impact of that damage.
Right.
Right? It's not your fault.
Surgery.
Or what, sorry?
I like to call it soul surgery.
Yes, soul surgery. That's actually a very, very interesting way of putting it. Thanks for that, Crystal.
Yeah.
So if somebody watching this podcast decided that, okay, you know what, today is the day I'm ready to make this change. Crystal, what is in your opinion, where do you think they should start?
I think that they should take an inventory of, get a journal, number one. And you don't need to go buy a pair of lungs. You have a pair of lungs. I would incorporate breath work, and I tell my clients that breathing is a tool you will use all the time. Like all the time. Wouldn't you say that? How often do you deep breathe?
Absolutely. Well, breathing is one rapid way to immediately relax your mind. But I would say that if somebody watching this today decides that, okay, I want to stop drinking, first and foremost, you have to establish your why. Why is it that you want to stop,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And that requires some deep self reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And that self reflection can only be on how alcohol impacts you, right? You
Yep.
can't have reasons that it will make other people happy. It can't be that the reason can't be an external reason. It has to be
Mm-hmm.
internal, because things will get rough. If this was easy, then we none of us would be here, right? Um, and when things get rough, you need to fall back on yourself, and the reasons need to be for you. It can't be something that is for other people, because other people come and go all the time, right? You
Mm-hmm.
wake up with yourself, you go to sleep with yourself every day. You are there in your head every day. So you have to love yourself and do this for yourself. So that's the number one thing. Number two, the one thing that often gets ignored is that we need to peel the layers back, guys. We need to create a plan. We need to first look at how many habits do we have that are built around drinking? How many systems do I have in place in my life that are built to support drinking? How many friends do I have that are just my drinking friends?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Think about that for one quick moment. These are all the things that you need to consider. How does this impact your body? How does this impact your mind? How does this impact your soul? How does this impact your wallet? How does this impact your family? How does this impact your productivity, your work, right? Like, the list goes on and on and on. The very first thing is to be very honest about exactly where you are and what you think is required to start making these changes, right? So the first thing you need is a good, deep self reflection. You need to understand exactly how far this goes into your life and what the pitfalls are, what your shortcomings are, what are your circumstances that impact you in this way. From there, you need a plan, right? So you need to be, recovery can't just be, I'm just not going to drink anymore. Ta-da! No one got sober like this.
Yeah.
No one that I know got sober like
I'm
this, right?
wand.
Right? So you simply can't just take one element out from the environment, that where the whole environment was designed specifically for that one element, right? So you have to take a good look at yourself and your lifestyle, and then create a plan. And then it's about doing different things. It's not about coming back into the same environment and hope for the best. It's about creating a different set of rules in your daily life. It's about creating new morning routines. It's about creating habits that are designed to improve your mental, physical, spiritual health, your financial health, emotional intelligence, productivity, energy levels, your ability to think and focus and
Yep.
plan ahead, right? And most importantly, we need a better way to manage our stress.
Yep.
That is the key to leaving the drinking culture behind in today's crazy modern world. How do we manage our stress? Because you tell me, Crystal, how many times in your life during your drinking days, what would it take? The smallest thing to stress you out even slightly, and even that was enough to say, all right,
That's
I'm
it.
good.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
I Today is canceled. The rest of the day is canceled. Please, like, I'd love to hear about, what your view is on the stress management part of it all.
The stress, my view, and I don't want to keep going back to it, but what completely changed for me is because I was always a worry wart. Like, and I attribute a lot of that to childhood trauma. And I became a very controlling little girl and also worried all the time. Like, I legitimately worried about the next day. I would write out my next day, lay down in bed and stress about it from the time I was little all the way. And so what really was helpful during recovery for me, especially, I use it to this day. The serenity prayer, how it's God grant me the serenity to accept. But basically, I look at that serenity prayer as a learning to be present in the now. Because if you pull out a whole straight line of your life, where are you living most of your life? Because if you're anxious and you're stressed and you're worried, you're generally going to be living most of your life in the future. If you are depressed, you're sad, angry, usually those people are dwelling on the past. And when you are the peaceful and you're just so calm, usually you're in the present moment, because that is the most peaceful place that you can be in. And so that alone, and that concept alone, and figuring out ways how to be more present, was the biggest deal for me in my sobriety and my recovery. And I attribute meditation and breath work to how you can remain present right now. So when I'm beginning to freak out, a lot of that had to do with my kids. So when I wasn't present with my kids and I was worried about, okay, and right now, I mean, my gosh, the type of living that we all are doing around this world with COVID and learning to with school systems and everything that goes along with that, the stresses of it, what can we do right now? Because worrying about what's going to happen is not serving anybody. So it's like becoming present, taking your deep breaths, meditating, feeling gratitude, all of those things are wrapped up, and they're kind of all my like little crunchy, my husband calls me like a crunchy hippie granola girl, but that's like, it's the best way to describe how I have gone through the stress and really narrowed it down into how to control it. I mean, obviously, you can't control a lot of things in life, but you can control that. You can control your breath. You can control being present. So
You
that's
can
my
control your behavior.
behavior.
That's
Absolutely.
that's
And
the most
learning those times,
important.
because you know what? That's going to be hard, and nobody else is going to do that for you. Nobody else is going to develop that habit of sitting down and meditating every morning or going for a walk. You have to develop those. And Hamza, you've created um, just that whole habit tracking and everything is amazing thing too. And if we all would follow, and there's things I still need to do, for habits and things that I need, but that's an amazing way to start, and it's work, and we've got to all put in the work for it.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Everything I do comes from how I could have helped myself in that time, right?
Right.
These are all, we all know that, okay, working out is great. I should be doing it. We all know these things. We all know that, hey, yeah, meditation is great. Yeah, it's awesome.
Great.
But when it comes down to sitting down and doing it, that's where the problem comes, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So the science is just so amazing because that eliminates all the doubt, right? Like, then do I know more than this guy who's got a PhD in what he's talking about? Probably not. So might as well just listen to the guy, right? So your habits and your behavior, that's the easiest part to control. And in the beginning, the biggest challenge is that we're met with resistance because our brain just wants to keep doing its thing, like all the systems that get learned and become easier and easier, then so that they become second nature. Whenever we try and go against the grain, whenever we try and do something new, initially the brain says, hey, what is this new thing you're doing? What is this? I don't want to do this, right? And then you met with resistance. That equals, perhaps I should start this tomorrow. Maybe today isn't such a good day. I've had such a hard day. I'm just going to start this never or at another time. Either way, that deliberation in your head, the constant, like, should I do this? Should I not do this? If you just got up and just, if I'm sitting on the couch and thinking of getting up and sitting on my computer to do something, and if an hour goes by and I'm still deciding if I should do this or not, that's where the problem is, right? So we all know that these are all the actions that we are supposed to take. All I've done is structured it in a way that makes it ridiculously easy to just follow, and it takes the pressure off of you, right? So it's simple things, just do whatever you can, but the game is to do it daily. That's the thing. And Hebb's law, that is one of the most popular and most famous laws in neuroscience, which is neurons that fire together will wire together.
Yeah.
It is just so simple. Like once you understand the building blocks, the fundamentals of, okay, what do I need to do to then for it to become a habit? It only takes 30 days or less, right? Like that's like a blip
the grand
in your overall life, your lifestyle, right? Or your lifespan, right? The average human lives about 80 years. What's 30? What's 1 month in 80 years? It's nothing, right? But it's the dailiness of it. It's the when it's time to face the music, when it's time to do the new action. What we don't know of, we are scared of, right? So fear of the unknown. So that also keeps us in the state of inactivity. So using neuroscience and creating mindful habits is like such a short, easy hack to first suffer a little bit. Okay, yeah, first couple of weeks, things are gonna be hard. It's gonna take some time. But then once you settle into your rhythm and your routine, then you notice that doing these same things is actually easier. And it becomes easier and easier and easier. And then eventually you reach a point in your life where it's harder to not do these things than it is to do them. And voila, your habit has been formed and you're there. You're now in a place where you've created a brand new way of living your same life, but from a different perspective, from a different viewpoint, from a different fresh lens on life, complete with a set of habits that you can now take with you into the rest of your life. Which brings me towards the close of our very first episode, which is the Mindfully Sober community. Crystal and I have been working very hard on, providing a centralized space for healing. So this community is more like a virtual wellness center that comes complete with coaching and unlimited neuroscience education and various other means such as yoga and guided meditations, all specifically curated for those that are in recovery from alcohol. And we'd love to invite all of you guys and everybody that's listening. Simply click the link below in the description of this video, and you can join our community. And inside, you will see how by following a simple plan and by being completely honest with yourself, and by the most important thing, letting go of of all the outcomes and all the things, all the control, just let go and let the universe do its thing. You will become alcohol free. And not only that, you will start loving your alcohol free life, right? You will start thriving because all systems in your body are now in a state of homeostasis, which is when everything is a-okay, right? When no changes are required and everything is working as it should be. Once you reach that level of life, then you're excited for every single day. Then you're excited for what's to come. And that is the place you want to live and wake up every single day, when you're excited for the road ahead for that day. I want to thank you all for joining and for stopping by, and for everybody that's listening. And Crystal, do you have anything to add before we end the meeting?
No, thank you all for coming by.
All right, awesome, guys. So we are going to be having a weekly episode now, so keep your eye out for this. And there will be a website being launched very soon where you can subscribe to being notified for the podcast, as well as it's going to become available on iTunes and Spotify in a week or so. So hope you guys enjoyed our test run, our very first run. We had no practice whatsoever. We just looked at us, each other, and said, okay, what topic are we talking about today? This one? All right, sounds good. Let's go. So I'm glad it went well. We'll listen to it back. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate each and every one of you. Crystal, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And, we'll we'll see you guys again next week. Take
Have a
care.
wonderful sober day.
Bye.
Bye.